Hello, and thank you for attending the Cloud Security Alliance's SECtember event. I'm Jim Alcove, co-founder and CEO of Illyria, a venture-backed identity security company working to reinvent identity from the ground up, powered by data and AI. Over the course of my 30-year career, I've had the privilege of working on both sides of the proverbial fence. First as a vendor at Microsoft, where I led commercial Windows and security for Windows 10, and also as the Chief Trust Officer at Salesforce for about 5.5 years. And man, what a learning experience that was. As a CISO, I learned so many things that would cause me to change decisions that I made as a product leader at Microsoft. And this really is what led me to the path I'm on today as a founder and CEO, building a bold new future for identity. Like many of you, I attend a lot of security conferences, most recently Black Hat. And one of my key takeaways is that identity continues to be front and center in the minds of security leaders, as it should be. And I believe this focus will only continue to intensify. And perhaps that's what led some of you to decide to listen to this talk today. You know, the challenges in identity aren't a secret. They've been building for years, actually decades. You know, today, identity isn't just part of every data breach. It's the most likely entry point for the breach. 80% of breaches involve compromised identities, and this is compounded by the rise in non-human identities, including AI. NHIs now outnumber human identities 80-1, and that will continue to grow, fueled by the growth of AI. The rise of AI is going to have implications for all aspects of our lives, well beyond what we can imagine today. Today we have ChatGPT and enterprise copilots like Microsoft 365 Copilot, and we're already seeing security challenges with just that level of AI adoption. We're also starting to see the birth of task-based agents and AI-based workflows. Autonomous agents, if you squint, you can see them on the horizon as well. You know, imagine a future in our lifetimes, 10 years, 20 years from now, where we'll see autonomous production of most of the things people need: energy, food, consumer goods. We're going to see autonomous transportation, ships, trucks, last mile drones, and we're going to see the disruptions of our service industries, the likes of which we've never seen in our lifetimes, as AI takes on more and more of the aspects of providing services, starting with the lower level roles in disciplines like legal and finance and software engineering. And to enable this future, we're going to see billions, more likely trillions of AI agents, all of which not only need to trade in our sensitive information, but will have command and control of systems that can impact things in the physical world, like the comfort of our home environments, or life-critical things like water quality, energy production, and transmission. You know, protecting these things from cybersecurity attack is going to be existential to the future of humanity, and I take that very seriously. Identity is central to that protection. Each of these different types of AI brings with it new identity challenges. In all of these cases, we're going to need to address long-standing issues like over-provisioned and unattended access, something the current generation of identity solutions just isn't helping us with. And as we start to enable task and workflow-based AI, we also need to truly address proper delegation, auditing, and identity and access composition. You know, today, it's challenging enough just for an executive to delegate access to their calendar and email to their executive business partner, much less to have that done in a methodical way at large scale, not just for executives, but for everyone in business and in broader life. And finally, in order to get autonomous agents to truly be autonomous, we need to agree on approval models that we can trust for those agents to make critical decisions autonomously. You know, from a standards perspective, we aren't starting at zero. There's been amazing work that's been done in things like OAuth that we can build on going forward. But we need to bring the world together to adopt these standards, including moving today's non-human identity management approaches away from static secrets to token-based approaches that are much more dynamic and secure. We also need to avoid bringing all of our legacy security data and identity with us as we go through this transformation. You know, if you look historically at the various large-scale transformations in computing, the transition to the internet, we had really big challenges with security there, and the transition to the cloud. We also sort of brought a lot of the baggage of security baggage with us. As we move to AI, we have a unique opportunity to not bring that baggage with us. And the one area that I would propose that we all come together and try to address is bearer tokens. You know, we need to move past that. It's time for us to get all as a world to adopt strong proof key-based channel-bound tokens so that we can really start to put token theft attacks and out-of-infrastructure token use attacks behind us. Given the threat landscape and the rapid rise of AI, it's also well past time that our identity solutions not only help us be more secure, but help organizations innovate at the pace of business. Our previous generation of tools have really failed to deliver the operational efficiency and effectiveness that they were originally designed for. If you take identity governance as an example, there's often multiple dollars worth of consulting resources required for every dollar of software licensing, just to get those tools up and running and manage them. And that's unacceptable in the world of the complexity of the world and the scale that we're all trying to achieve in. And also, those tools also need to become security risk first. And I think it's time for us to have a generation of identity tools that start with helping us address identity-related security risk and deliver operational efficiency and effectiveness at the same time. Last summer, at an event in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, with a group of leading CISOs, I was giving a talk on the challenges of managing identity. And I asked the group if there was interest in building a practitioner-centric reference architecture for identity. The answer to this was a resounding yes, and a new working group was born. Over a 9-month period, we worked on a new guide for managing identity in the age of AI. That guide has 3 key components. The first of these is a unified practitioner-centric architecture, not the least common denominator-based approaches that are created by combining multiple vendor systems, sometimes with a little bit of masking tape and baling wire, things that I was used to from my time as a CISO. This architecture is designed to provide continuous, comprehensive visibility and also enable consistent, ultimately autonomous governance, posture management, and facilitate automated threat detection and response across all of your identities, human, non-human, AI, across all of your different environments, with SaaS, cloud, on-premise, and custom applications and infrastructure. Second component is a maturity model, the guide's implementation. Almost every organization is starting from somewhere on their journey to become great. And not every area of identity is equally important at any given time. And the priorities rightly vary across organizations. A good maturity model provides well-defined stages for each critical capability area, and each stage delivers measurable operational improvement as you move from one to the next, leaving room for higher priority work that still needs to go on while in risk reduction while you're improving your maturity. And this allows organizations to continue to reduce risk and improve maturity while avoiding boil the ocean style approaches. And finally, we wanted to ensure that anything that we put out, given the rise of agentic AI, was ready for our AI-powered future from the very, very beginning. So we published this guide at the end of July, and I'm super excited to be able to share it with you and raise awareness with you about it today. It really represents a comprehensive, highly actionable resource to help organizations prepare for tomorrow's autonomous, AI-enabled future. But let's first talk about the architecture. This architecture, again, was designed from a practitioner's perspective. It enumerates the key capabilities rather than product categories and how they all connect together with the different systems in a modern organization. And while this isn't meant to represent a single product architecture or expected to be a single product architecture, this is definitely the mission that we're on at Illyria with our Trust Fusion platform to sort of bring about as much of this on a single platform as possible. But I also expect organizations will choose different approaches to organizing this. Sometimes some sophisticated organizations will build a lot of these capabilities themselves. Some will choose to take big components of this from vendors and then add their additional capabilities and ultimately build a similar architecture, with vendor systems and internally developed capabilities. At the heart of this architecture is a common data model and a system of record for identity data spanning HR, so employee vendor information, identity, so accounts, groups, entitlements, access data, permissions, and usage. It's the sum of all of that being in one place that really represents the power of this common data model. This enables effective identity master data management, which is an area lots of us still struggle with today, and provides a single source of truth to rationalize this sea of siloed systems in every modern organization. And when you take this data and then enrich it with context and signals from other systems, such as endpoint and network security or application access systems, SASE, it really enables a dynamic, unified approach to centrally managing access, strengthening posture, and responding to threats that hasn't been possible before. So on top of this common data platform is a unified orchestration and control layer that provides all of the key capabilities in identity, things like authentication, authorization, posture management, lifecycle management, threat detection and response. And the idea of this central orchestrator is that we live in a world of every organization having to manage a multiplicity of identity systems, those that are baked into SaaS applications and cloud infrastructure or custom ones that you've built for yourself. And the role of the CISO or the CIO who's managing identity is to really orchestrate all of those different systems. And so this architecture really is a nod to the fact that we're going to live in that world for the foreseeable future. And then what we need to be able to do is unify these systems and get consistency and continuous monitoring and control. And so the central system of record and system of control, this orchestrator, allows you to configure things once, and it will then is able to reach out and consistently configure all the other systems. So if I give you an example, like a conditional access policy of restricting the surface area that someone can log into your systems, today people are forced to sort of manually configure that in all of the different admin consoles via like a swivel chair approach of admin consoles. And with this new centralized orchestration approach, you're able to write that policy information to the orchestrator once, and then it will manage and monitor those configurations consistently across all of your different systems. And so this architecture really enables organizations to more effectively adopt zero trust, which I consider sort of identity the cornerstone of enabling a solid zero trust architecture. And it really sets us up to have what we need in terms of all of the data together and this centralized command and control infrastructure for a truly autonomous identity and access management future, which is necessary for us to get to autonomous agents operating in our environments. The guide itself also includes a maturity model, which is a capability maturity model style guide that has across 12 categories. And so for each of those different categories of identity, you're able to make increment, first judge where you are in your journey so you can go in with an initial assessment and understand sort of how mature you are in each of these aspects of identity. And then kind of like you would with this cybersecurity framework, you can set a target for yourself about where you want to get. And then you can sort of measure yourself over time as you improve in each of those areas, and each of the different stages give you clear guidance on what it takes to qualify for each of those stages so you can measure your progress over time. And the way I think about this as a security leader is that I need to primarily reduce my security risks to a level that my organization sees as appropriate at the appropriate cost, but that as I do that, I need to get more and more effective and mature at how they do that over time. And this maturity model-based approach of these stages allows you to do that. Again, parallels with the NIST cybersecurity framework here. Aligning identity security with business objectives does more than just fix technical problems. It also delivers business results across your organization. You're going to see a reduction in security incidents and a smaller attack surface. One of the things I like to hope for in the future is really just a collective reduction in what I would call the per capita access permissivity of an organization. The idea that depending on the scale of users that you have in your organization, or resources you have in your organization, the idea that the connectivity of that access graph should go down over time so that it really represents a reduction in your attack surface. Your team can cut down a huge amount on the manual work that you do, so you can have those resources focus on the strategic projects, which is a big win for operational efficiency. And this will really help drive business momentum by improving user experiences, delivering new initiatives like AI, but not exclusive to AI, and it really improved customer and partner trust in your organization. And on top of all of that, I think we all know that as we improve identity and access, it makes it easier for us to meet our compliance and regulatory requirements. Security doesn't have to be a bottleneck in organizations. It can be a business enabler. And I think transitioning to an architecture like this really can help enable that. So I'd invite all of you to go check out the guide, take a test drive in your organization. This isn't a one and done effort though, so we'd love to hear your feedback because we're going to continue to update the guide going forward. I want to thank the Cloud Security Alliance for this opportunity. I'd also like to thank Robert Rodriguez and Heather Rodriguez of SINET for the opportunity to host the identity working group within the SINET umbrella, and all of the security leaders who collaborated with me and Vijay Gajala from my team in Illyria on the development of this guide. Thank you so much for your time and listening to this talk, and enjoy the rest of the SECtember programming.